it a lot. And it's like the power of the spiritual man versus the physical man, and how the spiritual man attempts to be the physical man, and the physical man just gets all the pussy. But no matter what the spiritual man does, he'll never be the physical man, and the physical man don't even try to be the spiritual man, because there's no win in that. You mean to tell me give up all this money, give up all of this sex, and give up all of this easy living, and people treating me like a god? So in that space, what is the spiritual man left with? Well, the spiritual man has something very specific to the relationship. The spiritual man has psychic functions and supportive energy. But also, the spiritual man needs to be treated very special. But the problem is the way that society slants it, y'all treat the spiritual nigga like the physical person. You expect them to be and live up to the physical standards that you would still. But what you won't do is demand spiritual excellence out of the physical man. Because if you are a spiritual woman, this is the kicker right here. You need a spiritual man. But what does the spiritual woman get? The spiritual woman gets the physical man. He pays the bills. 5 times out of 10, he gives you good loving. And that's pretty much it, you know? Or he's giving you good loving and he ain't paying the bills, you know? It's just physical, normal, human, just a normal, mundane ass dude, right? Like, if you are a spiritual woman and you dealing with a dude who is not a spiritual, who has no understanding of vessels and energy and elements and these things, he's not going to support you into the transformation of your goddessness. You have to follow his lead. Think about how crazy that is. Think about how crazy it is that you have to follow a mundane ass nigga's lead. And you talking about Oshun and rituals and Yeminya and spirit baths and things of that nature, but you don't know how to receive a spiritual man, because what you will do is look at all men the same. You will look at all men the same, and then y'all will be lining up outside of my bedroom like it's the J's is being released to get some astral dick. See, this is the difference between a spiritual man and a physical man. A spiritual man exists in the night. A spiritual man exists in the night. A physical man exists during the day. The most important time in your life is when you sleep. To which, when you have a man that protects you in the night, he is there for you. Now, when you with a spiritual man and you a spiritual woman, you gotta understand all of this shit that's happening. Because now, you're a spiritual woman and you have relationships with other men. And whether you like it or not, those men have implanted with you, and you're a spiritual woman. You can have sex with those men whenever you want, because sex happens in the mind. That's why it's easy for you to be single. After, not before, let's be clear, after you've already had relationships with the man, you can be comfortable with being single, because you have his energy to where you can fuck him whenever you want, because where does sex happen? In the mind. Not this exchange thing that y'all have. It's happening in the mind. So that's your husband. You don't have the certificate, you didn't walk down the aisle, but you consummated the relationship without the ceremony. So that's your husband. You're polygamous. Now, you're not giving the man this energy to, not even the truth. No, honey, I don't want to give you no actual pussy tonight because I'm saving it for the astral. Right? I want to have sex on the astral with my ex. I don't want to have sex with you today. See, the physical man, it don't matter to him. You can get all of this shit off. No, honey, not tonight. I'm sick. I'm on my period. My stomach hurt. Right? The spiritual man, No. No. What you mean? Not tonight. Not to say that he wants to have sex, but no, you're cheating on me. Because what the spiritual man sees, because when he goes to sleep at night, his consciousness doesn't go to sleep. His consciousness comes online, so now he sees your astral activity. And then you guys wake up and now you're in bad moods. This is why in the conversations in my house, I have to tell, I've learned and grown to have the conversations, not 2 weeks later, but the day of. This what happened on the astral last night. Me and these 3 girls was having sex on the astral last night. This is the reality. To which if I say, okay, I had a wonderful dream. I was dreaming about kittens, and the kitten did a backflip off a building, and then it went into a 3D void, and it turned into a rabbit. I'm lying and shit, right? But no, the reality. So, boom, you in a relationship with a man, and you don't have to tell him that you're attracted to other men, nor that you have a soul tie or you've been imprinted, and you just can't get with your imprint. What's the reality of relationships? You're not with the person that you want to be with. And if you can't admit to that, because the person that you want to be with was the first person that you made love to. Okay, people then go say, well, not me. Not me. You love being the exception to the rules, and that is perfectly fine. But imagine that I don't even know that you exist, and I'm speaking general to a general audience, and if it's not you, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad. The person that you absolutely want to be with does not want you. This is shadow. But the spiritual man, because the spiritual man is the healer, he is the person that's going to look at you, not in this lifetime. The spiritual man will not look at you based upon your body type, what you look like, how you feel about yourself. You're nothing. The spiritual man sees your fucking soul. And you might see a man with a woman, and you like, I don't know what he sees in her. He sees her soul. That a shallow motherfucker like you would never fucking imagine the type of love that you're missing out on because you're physical. But we don't live in just a purely physical world. We live in a physical world times a spiritual world. To which, if you don't understand the spirituality in a matter of factness, this is a tragedy to niggas and niggas worldwide. When you reference spirituality in all of its motifs, people give you mumbo jumbo generalizations. They don't give you real shit. They don't help you in the realms of spirituality. You know why? Because they don't know. They don't know. They do rituals with these deities. They know all about these deities. Why? Because they channel these fucking deities. I don't channel deities. A deity can lick my ass. I channel my soul. Right? So from the psychology, I'm only reflecting that for which my soul tells me directly. It's a lot of different things that's happening. But the most important thing that's happening, the family, y'all cannot imagine that spirituality is hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo, the nigga with the most cowrie shells, the person with the most clout. You know what spirituality is? Spirituality is pulling up to a pop-up shop where nobody fucking knows me. And don't tell them that I do readings. Don't tell them shit about me. I'm just gonna stand here and be a fucking fly on the wall. And this is how we are. We don't need to. The internet shit is for what it's for. Whatever my spirit says is for, I'm fucking with it, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, I can pull up. Niggas know me for pulling up. And not saying, oh, do you know me from YouTube? Make sure you know me for YouTube before I start reading these cards. I'm the mystic. You gotta know me first. No, I'm just a guy. Because you might not ever see me again. And I might give you vital information. And I might peer into yourself. I might tell you shit that you don't want to tell nobody. I'm just a guy. Right? So I'm saying all of this to say, I'm a spiritual guy. And the problem of it is that it took going to Spirit Doula's Myra's class for me to open up, that like open my fucking eyes, right? I need that. I need guidance. I need wisdom. I need an elder to speak, right? And me to listen to an elder speak and me to take notes, because a lot of times people put pressure on me. They like, Hood, I need you to be the elder. And I'm like, shit, I need an elder sometimes, right? I got that, right? And it was important. It was vital. It was crucial. Because she said the spiritual man sees the physical woman and turns her into the spiritual woman, which then brings about the physical man. And I said, that's my fucking path. I didn't even fucking know it. I didn't even fucking realize it.
I project myself outside of myself, and I talk to myself when I'm speaking.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 spiritual podcast. It's the Initiates. I'm here with Sacred, Jabri, AD. We got It's going down in a major way, man. We got a lot to talk about. We got some videos to react to, got some stories to cover, topics to, just hit you with the back and forth banter. But we also want to engage in the comments, engage in the chat. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, blow up the comments. We want to just have a thought-provoking dialogue, because you never know who could be needing this conversation. And when it comes to Black spirituality, there aren't many places where people are just consistently trying to pour into you spiritually, not trying to scam you, not trying to get you to buy into anything. All we just trying to do is make sure that you have a direct consciousness between your conscious mind and your soul. At the end of the day, that's all we charging, right? But before I get into all of what we're going to talk about, let my homeboys introduce themselves. And I got a question for each of them. Are you a spiritual man, a physical man, or both? There is no wrong answer. I stated in a video, I'm a spiritual man. But what say you? Y'all can go introduce yourself in any order y'all deem fit.
Hello. Peace to the tribe. It's the one and only. It's your boy AD. And I'm here today to let you guys know that I'm a spiritual man. And why? Is because the spiritual man can do everything that the physical man can. And I embody that by the way I live and by understanding my experience through this world. So as I'm here with my brothers today, join along with us in this talk. Please comment, please ask questions, please share your experience with us, and just really speak your truth. But peace to the tribe, and thank you for joining.
Ashe to the squad, Ashe to the collective, peace to the family. It's your boy Sacred. I am definitely a spiritual man, even though for the majority of my life I probably was a physical man. I was happy to make the jump. Nonetheless, honestly, it was it called me. It wasn't like I was seeking it. Outside of that, I would like to give a shout out to White Rabbit Psych, the Hierophants Book Club, the Initiate Substack, White Rabbit Psych Substack, ColumbianExchange.com. And yeah, let's have some fun. Please, let's get it, because girls just want to have fun.
What up? This is Breeze, aka Ja Breeze. I say, man, I'm probably like 90% spiritual, 10% physical, because it is moments where it's just like the physical, like if the physical was a scorpion, the physical be stinging me, man. Sometimes I just be like, wow, I don't know what the fuck to do. But I will say I'm 90% spiritual because I really take my discipline seriously, and I pray that I can continue to take on more of my discipline with what I do spiritually. And I say I'm not 100% yet because I'm not Breeze Christ yet. Okay. I'm not quite a diamond yet. But I dropped my IG in the chat. Check me out. Shout out everybody in the initiates. Shout out to y'all that's watching. And we're going to present some information.
This is why we are the #1 spiritual podcast on the whole entire internet. We just want to thank everybody for tuning in and tapping in, whether you're watching this video live or you watching this video post live. We've been getting a lot of good feedback, a lot of views for these videos. So I take it that y'all like laid back, casual, spiritual conversation from a masculine perspective without the scammetry, right? Because in this spiritual world, you about to hear some spiritual mumbo jumbo, and you about to spend a lot of money for a class. Although we will be producing some coursework, we still not trying to tax nobody's pockets at the end of the day, because the information is the most important part, and you're going to have to do that on your own regardless. So that's the real to real. Anything other than that, you bound to spill. But let's get into our first video. Just to outline the show for those who might want to know, we have like a selection of videos that we going to react to, give our thoughts on, and then we have a major topic that I feel that is important, right? Where it's a lot of online rhetoric that is anti-masculine energy. But what if the masculine energy is a stud? Does the same energy apply, or is it a different standard? And when we look at marriage and we look at divorce and we look at domestic violence, the statistics and the reality behind these particular things that I just stated will greatly astound you. So, as a man, as a woman, I don't feel as though we should ignore these things. I think we should talk about these things so we can get clarity and we can move forward and we can connect as a people. The first thing I want to talk about that's kind of just entering into my mind, I'm going to share my screen and get the panel's thoughts on this. And if anybody in the chat wants to join the panel, feel free to, hit us up in the comments and we'll send you the link, because the more the merrier at this point. So I'm going to read this and then I'm going to get your thoughts individually. And the good thing about a spiritual podcast is that you can take notes. Not many boy girl podcasts. You ain't really. The metaphysical meaning of marriage. Marriage, spiritual. Spiritually, marriage represents the union of two dominant states of consciousness. We open the door of the mind by consciously affirming the presence of the power of the divine I am in our midst. There is a marriage or union of the higher forces in being with the lower. And we, okay, there is a marriage or union of the higher forces in being with the lower, and we find that we are quickened in every part. The life of the I am has been poured out for us. Whoever in whatever order, what do y'all think about what I just read? What does the metaphysical meaning of marriage mean to you, just on some observational stuff?
The first thing that stands out to me is union, unity, uh, representing one. Um, it's kind of like the parable of the Trinity, um, but this is kind of like, I would say, the parable of the duality. You know, you get two circles. You have the vesicle Pisces, and that represents union. But it makes me think of a merging, a crossing. You know, as a spiritual man, you are married to your physical, and understanding that your spiritual and your physical require certain things. And I think you can get them in sync to where you do something for your physical, it'll affect the spiritual and vice versa. Even though, you know, we know the hierarchy is spiritual and physical, but
Mhm.
sometimes, you know, just taking care of yourself emotionally can make it easier for you to do spiritual things. You know, paying your bills on time, paying your debt. You know what I mean? Being in the moment and really speaking what's in your heart in the moment will allow you not to have to go to sleep angry. You know what I mean? And having to dub back like, you know what, I ain't like what you said.
Mhm.
So, in that sense of being physical, I'll say that.
Yeah, to even bounce that off the backboard, to really realize like just how we show up for work, we have to show up spiritually, and unionly we are not one. Like, we're not whole without the other. Just as much we need our ego, we need our soul. So learning how to use those two in one sync is just really, it's beneficial to your life, whether you're in a bad place or in a good place. Because it's some people who are trying to evolve in life, and no, actually, let me fix that. It's some people who don't know where they are in their life, and there's some people who are. One is trying to get there, and one is trying. They're both trying to get there. One knows, and one doesn't. So, spiritually, you want to be the one that knows and be able to get your and physically get yourself there. If that all makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
So the first thing that grabbed my eye was the union of two dominant states of consciousness. And the first thing that came to my mind when I read that line was religare, aka religion, basically meaning union. It's the marriage of spiritual and physical, spiritual and mental rather. And then with tantra, it's the same thing, but it's actually the marriage of spiritual and physical. And then as above, so below, the marriage of your animal nature with your divine self. And the two beings becoming one is essentially like, when Adam and Eve were created through that split, um, the split of that hermaphrodite, right? Like you split that male and that masculine aspect of self, and then it comes back together when y'all find each other, twin flame, aka soul ties, aka soul connections. I think the higher states of consciousness is the divine self of each being marrying each other on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on a mental level, and on an animalistic level.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, I think one of the most important things is like when you are connected within, it's easier to connect with people. But at the same time, one of the realities that I'm learning about life is that if an individual is not in tune with their souls, but maybe they're in tune with you, it's not going to end how you think it's going to end. I think as men in relationships, we should always direct our partner to their soul, where it's easy for us, sometimes easier than not, to direct a woman to us, like, let me lead you and let me, these types of things. But then in the definition, it says represents the union of two dominant states. So that is very key, because if two dominant states are together, then essentially there is no leader. Your soul is the leader. So when we talk about like divorce rates, what's the point of getting married if the the likelihood is that you're going to move into a divorce? Because men and women think, I think they have it confused. One is trying to be led and one is trying to lead, whether masculine or feminine. But when you look at a spiritual marriage, it's the union of two dominant states. Where are both people finding their leadership from then? The soul. But if you're not unified within yourself, soul consciousness, then you're looking for a leader. And it sucks as a man. I've been in a state of mind where I wanted to be led by a woman, right? Or then I said, no, fuck that. I want to take the lead role. But both leave you with like a bitter taste in your mouth. And I think reading this like deeply affirms why both partners need to really tune into self to be successful within the union. But that's my thoughts. I appreciate y'all setting the tone for the podcast. Now we're going to deal with some reaction. The first reaction is going to be from tonight's conversation. You know how those boys get down. Let's see.
Your relationship that I have, a lot of what made me definitely was from the relationship I had with my mom. The first major relationship that I have regarding my interactions with women was fucked up. My teacher was fucked up. This is not to say my mom didn't try. This ain't to say my mom didn't outright do her thing at times. But it's not even about raising a man. We set the bar for parenthood at participation. We hand out "you tried" trophies for parents. To be quite frank, hey, I don't give. I'm saying this as a former educator and everything, bruh. Like you being there doesn't make you a good parent. It doesn't. So while this is not exclusive to women, hell yeah, we need to start talking about how parents are kids up, and that keeps creating more generations of up people.
So that's very deep based on what we were talking about. My question to the panel is it your responsibility to parent your parents or judge the way your parents raised you, or should you just simply get over it and do the best you can with your life?
I don't I don't think it's either or, right? Like I don't think you are supposed to parent your parents, because it's easy, in my opinion, to retroactively go back and look at things that you would point out in your history that you call so-called trauma situations or things that went wrong, right? But at the same time, if you don't acknowledge those things, right? Like there's no such thing as just getting over it and moving on, right? Because people push stuff down their whole lives and don't deal with them their whole lives because they're just trying to get over it and move on. But then you get to a point in your life where you've never healed that aspect of your life, right? So the reason why I picked this video was because it hit home with me, because it resonated with me, because a few years back I had that conversation with my mom, and it was difficult, you know, but at the same time, it was a necessary component for our relationship because my mom has always been my hero at the same time, right? But after going through therapy and after going through the situations in my life that transpired to make me feel like I had to heal that inner child within myself, like I had to be able to have a holistic type of conversation with my mother just so she could understand the person that she created, right? Not because I needed somebody to feel a certain type of way because of how I felt, not because I was out for some level of vengeance or anything like that, not because I needed to say, hey, let me hold you accountable because you were wrong. No, only because my spiritual development was being held up by this aspect of my childhood that I never wanted to face. And so when I got to the point when I was ready to face it, I had to go to the top of the mountain. I couldn't go nowhere else. Yeah, I was raised in a single parent household. Yeah, I was just raised by my mom. I grew up a little sassy nigga. I was always mad, right? But after getting past that, I still had to go back and course correct. And course correcting had everything to do with me being able to have that conversation with my mother and not blame her, but just let her know, like, this is what it is. And I think there's a difference between telling a person what it is, especially if that person is your God, because that my mother is my God, right? So honor thy mother, honor thy father. So the best way for me to honor her was to be able to tell her the truth.
I shaded that, bro. That was really powerful. Uh, to really like just to be like the screen on that. Honestly, like even for myself and like for other people that can look at, sometimes you have to realize your relationships too, because sometimes people go off of how they're getting treated to initiate those kind of conversations, or some people might be stuck in certain places in the past, right? Like you might be stuck somewhere emotionally and turmoily, and then your family might be in a whole other spot and like just be chilling, going to work, and you in distraught by these things. And some people tell you you need a therapist, but you feel like you need to talk to your family. So my thing is, first, it's like, how are you going about this conversation? Like, what are you doing it for? You know, and Serpent's explanation helps you, gave you that clarity. But for some people who don't have that clarity, you have to realize that for yourself. Where are you with your family? Do you have both your parents there for you to have this conversation? Do you have to have this conversation individually with one of your parents at time to time? It's just multiple ways to really think about it, and it all comes down to communication. And if you can't build that communication with others, it starts with yourself first. And I think that is something that's always overlooked, because it's so easy to say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that," but it's hard to tell other people and not want to and look bad about it. Like, not even to feel shameful, but to admit my faults. To even admit when you like, even when you tell the truth, like everyone's killed for it. So like, it makes people like, well, I gotta lie now, you know?
True. I mean, I guess you're not ever going to live a life where you're not lying a little bit, but at the same
I share.
time, like what situations that require the truth are you being truthful in, right? Like some situations require the truth, and a lot of times with men, we're not in tune with the truth of the situation because we have so much bias based upon appeasing to our moms, because like in retrospect a mother could do no wrong even if she did wrong. So that is debilitating, especially if you grow up in a single family home or a single parent home, rather, where you need preparation for the world, but more than not, you got love and coddling, and you better get good grades, and you better go to college, and you better get a good job, and you better, which is a motivator. But the reality of being a man, you need defense training, you need financial literacy, you need strategy, you need a lot of different things that are not pertaining to love and coddling. So that within itself can be very debilitating to a man.
Yeah, I agree with all three of y'all. And to add to that, it's always going to be something that we felt our parents could have did better with. Um, because I think part of, I mean, 'cause your parents can't do the work for you, right? I mean, honestly, they give you some work to do. And being a spiritual man, I look at it as I chose these parents for a particular reason. You know, um, and a lot of my life lessons is in them. You know what I mean? It's like
That's
my
why I
genie,
completely sub right there, bro. Keep
my
spitting.
yeah, like my microscopically or biomolecularly, I am the marriage of their union. You know what I mean? I'm a manifestation of their union. So being able to see the masculine and seeing the feminine, as my life progresses, really gives me some indication on, you know, what's headed for me, and even like sometimes it's stuff that happened in my dad life that he didn't tell me and my sister. My brother is 10 years older than me. My sister is 2 years younger than me. That my mom, my dad, and my brother, they know because they was there, but it was never made clear to us. And one day my mom had told us about how my dad battled addiction. Um, and I was a kid like, man, one day, you know, no, I don't know if I should say it, but like I would experiment. You know what I mean? One day I was like, I'm gonna experiment. And when I found out about that, I was like, damn, why the fuck would I do that? You know what I mean? And I think being able to hear the truth from your parents can really give you some insight on pitfalls in life, that you are susceptible to, and I know what my parents have dealt with because of the problems that I've dealt with, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like whatever that quote is about the sins of the fathers will visit the children, you know. Um,
Yeah,
I would say that,
life not being linear. It's circular. So those
yeah,
things keep coming around,
yes,
coming around.
Having a
it's a
real
cycle.
connection.
Yeah,
Somebody breaks the
Right.
cycle.
yeah, and set the tone for something new, right? Um, and then sometimes it is me like getting my parents hip to stuff, to the point where my mom be like, "Hey, this look at my crystals." You know what I mean? Like, do you know what this yoga move is and stuff like that, and it's cool, because at the end of the day, at this age, I'm 32, I look at my parents as peers, you know, and we can really have some real conversations. Um, Whereas, at an earlier age, it's discipline. When I was, early 20s, it was more of a friendship, and now it's like is a friendship, but it's a little bit more like business, because I know at some point my mom will be good, but my dad, he might need somewhere to live. he gonna, you know what I mean? He's a lot older. He was born 1960, so it's just like shit. 20 years you might be living, in the basement or in the attic at my spot. And I remember telling my siblings that, and they're like, man, why you want to talk about that? I'm like, that's a reality. You know? Um,
Hey,
so, but yeah. Without veering off from the topic.
Yeah, that's good though. It is good that you know we got communicative parents because that would be the saving grace for being in a toxic environment is the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are living in a world isolated from the truth based upon love and coddling and I want to give you a better life than I had, what you tend to do is like really put a child in a bad predicament because the reality of life is the reality of life. And you really got to develop a heart. You really got to develop intelligence and a strength that, unfortunately or fortunately, love don't develop character like discipline does. But at the same time, most black children are abundantly loved and very little discipline is placed before them. So, with that being said, it would tend to be more of a struggle for us when we discuss our problems on various podcasts and can't get into a relationship and can't really thrive in the society because we are fixated with love. And when it comes to discipline, we view that as like a curse word. So, something to think about, something to reflect on as we move into our next video. This is from Fresh and Fit. um, Shout out to those guys.
Oh,
Go ahead,
I wanted to say one more thing.
please.
Because when Serpent said, cycles, it's circular. Um, there has to be some type of progression, through just your development in general. You know what I mean? Like I'm my maturity isn't that of 8-year-old Jabri no more. You know what I mean? So I have certain requirements, you know what I mean, that's expected of me, whether it's like work, what I can do for my family members. And I think at least I know what kind of parent I want to be, and I understand that how you parent someone or how you discipline yourself has to progress. You know what I mean? You can't be treating yourself like um like you still gotta ride a bike with training wheels. You know what I mean? Like if you really don't need them, take them motherfuckers off. You know what I mean? Stop living your life like you still need to be, a beginner in something. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Challenge yourself and move on to being an intermediate. And I say that all to say is that like you gotta continue to create a framework where discipline is necessary. You
mhm,
know what I mean?
mhm,
And just seeing the value of it, because I think what takes a physical man into a spiritual man is discipline,
mhm,
is structure.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, single mothers with boys raising boys, they don't need your love. They got your love when they came out the womb.
yeah,
They
that's
need
that's
they
that's
need
gonna be there. Yeah.
they need discipline and structure. Sometimes it's a good thing for that little boy to cry and for him to understand why he's crying, and therefore he can learn how to manage his emotions as opposed
Mhm.
to growing up and becoming a man and being extremely emotional and not knowing why. That's what our jails is filled up with. But I digress.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's real. Um, I was gonna say something. Oh, I was gonna say like business for me is based upon systems, like a set of systems that create a result, right? And that for a lot of people it's a hard thing to wrap your mind around. And for me, it was a hard thing to wrap my mind around because I wasn't raised like that. I was like really into hoping, wishing, and praying for things. And it's so crazy that all of the things you hope and wish and pray for, you could just develop a system to get it. You don't even gotta hope. You could just do it and get it. Like you can be
Mhm.
rich. You could do all of these things based upon a system. But I think when you do not have that, whether you can get it later in life, whatever, but it's easier if you have that in place when you are young
Mm-hmm.
and it's simple to you, because that's what the world is. It's a bunch of men that was raised by men that have got that part down packed. So if you are a boy that was raised by a mom, you're gonna have to catch up, right? You gotta catch up. You gotta implement systems in your life. You gotta be so disciplined. And the feel goods for life, you just gotta put them shits on hold indefinitely, right? You got to, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it because sugar is always going to rot your teeth. It's always going to give you diabetes. It just tastes good, right? And as a man, you got to actually get beyond that actual veil. But is it cool to go into the next video?
Yes, sir. Load that mug up, man. Let's get it. Let's get it cracking.
Losing the spirit of truth because we have so much information now, right? We live in an information age and we have access to information that was hidden forever, right? But we don't know how to decipher factual, credited, what's true. So it's all mixed in.
Or it was just somebody's opinion.
There you go. And so because we all have access to this, but we all don't have the knowledge to decipher the facts, truth, or whatever. So now we're more separated because our ideologies, the Hoteps, the Hebrews, so now we got all this new information, and now we don't have the spirit no more.
In this spiritual community, in your spiritual growth, your spiritual journey, how big are you on living an objective truth versus your own personal truth? Is that a struggle for you, or is it just easy for you to say, what I think is incorrect? What is real, I must go outside of myself. I must go deep, deep, deep into a reservoir of unknown to know. I can't know from knowing. That don't even make sense. In order to know, I have to immerse myself in the unknown and be an idiot, for lack of better words. Or is it just better to say, I know everything because I have this mind? Do y'all struggle with that? Or is it easy to you?
I say it's easy to me. One, just first off, just being a young man and knowing that I have not seen all of the world yet, so that gives me the enthusiasm to be a fool and jump off the cliff and learn how to build, and then come back to my homeland and show them what I have learned and accustomed till I get an old age. You know, that's something that I'm okay with, destroying what's been taught to me and building a whole new thing. It's like a phoenix coming out the ashes, because it's like thinking of the tower card now, you know. So there's a lot of ways to really embody this experience and to get yourself out of modalities of I know I'm not going to change that. This is what I believe is in my chest. You know, like sometimes we get caught up into what we feel and place objective thoughts and things on that until we get rid of the feeling and really examine what we have in mind. That's when we'll find that the absolute truth of it. Because too many times we put feelings with the things we think of and never actually take it away. Because your emotions gonna cloud your judgment, especially if it's something that's really pleasing you as well. She cheating on you, bro. No, the first she's not. You know. Like,
Yeah, I would say in the beginning, like I always thought life was coming at me, right? But through this combination, like this cultivating of spirit and the physical and everything that goes along with learning self and knowing thyself, I figured out finally that life comes from me. It doesn't come at me, right? So like I think the perspective when it's flipped and you take yourself out of the victim mode and the woe is me mode and the me against the world mode, and you start to detach yourself from whatever reality you thought you had, and you form a new perspective, a new sense of being, and you understand that life is actually coming from you, like you are the creator of this thing we call life. Well, then I think it's so much easier to be objective, right? Because subjective is an ego thing, really, right? If I just think everything is because of what I think, or I latch on to whatever confirmation bias is around, or whatever cognitive dissonance I want to grab on to win an argument, right? Like that's easy to do. What's difficult to do is to separate yourself from whatever it is that's occurring, whatever it is that's going on, and to look at it and take a holistic view about it. I think that's the beautiful thing about this spirituality, is the fact that you can look at it in its totality as opposed to woe was me. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because when you really look at it, that's how you start to deviate you from you all good. That's how you see from like, okay, this is the scam, this is the truth, this is the teaching and the community building, this is the money siphon and the running away not and replying to the people. That's how you really start to see through these things. Like deciphering through information is something that is hard for people because they don't have no eternal clock to really to make them a judgment to believe somewhere. Like people like, nah, I don't get into that because or that's perspective. And can't But what is your perspective? What is your thought? What is your mind? What is your soul telling you? Because a lot of people can't tell you that, or they can't even really channel that. So, and that's what the initiates is here for, to initiate people on their soul journey to realize what they bring into themselves, and that's realizing who you are. And we can't show you who you are. We can give you a read and tell you things, but you have to sit down, do the examining, and we'll give you a book, give you a whole so many things we can do. But you are the passion project that you have to see for your life, and that's how you're gonna get through the information.
Yeah. And that's always kind of like a slippery slope that I find it difficult to like really get across, because it's like you are yourself, but you're also living in a world that nobody actually knows the truth about. And the most renowned scientists on the planet are still seeking out information and trying to learn new information about different plants, different animals, different planets, different stars, different galaxies, different spiders, different all different types of stuff that nobody has ever seen before.
Different universes.
Different fungi, right? Just like everything is new that this earth is producing. So an objective statement is we don't know. However, when you get into a subjective world, it's like feelings and emotions and mental states will be a debilitating thing, right? You'll be in a vehicle with somebody and you'll be going to California, but they're driving and they don't know how to get there. So you end up in Mississippi, right? Because they felt like they were going to California, right? And it's not like that. California is you got to follow the signs to get to California. That's an objective truth that we have to kind of like get through to our community. That's a hard thing that you're really going to have to sit and really just imagine that everybody think that what they're doing is right and exact, and 10 times out of 10 it's completely wrong and fucked up, including me. Right now, it's not even a person, but the strength with the shadow work or dealing with your sacral chakra and saying, I got to make changes without quivering and breaking down and giving up is just kind of hard. But the reality of an objective truth is that when you in intelligent design, you can actually exist in a perfect state of being, a perfect existence, if you can understand that truth is something that must be figured out. Like we're here to figure out the truth. We don't actually know the truth. We can't submit ourselves in the truth because there'll be somebody that'll come with some information that may be something that you need, but you don't really deal with it because you felt like you already knew that already.
Hmm.
So many times I've been in that situation that's like I don't never want to be in that situation. I want to be open to grow and open to expand. And I don't know where this thing is going because spirit have surprised me so fucking much. Like, and even just life is just such a big surprise that I think like we should be excited about what the truth could possibly be.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I would even go as far as to say the truth is your soul, but having this physical experience, you gotta. I mean, you already said it is the growth and being able to expand. Like I'm gonna say the word again. It's a progression. You
Hmm.
know, like how you think the information that you came across in the beginning of your spiritual journey is what's needed 10 years in.
That
You
makes no
know, like,
sense.
yeah, like you don't see how stifling that is. You know what I mean? It's like you build the frame of the house and you build steps, and then you just like, shit, I'm gonna live in here. But you don't have no walls, you ain't got no windows, you ain't got no bathroom, no plumbing, no electrical. You know, it has to be a progression. You have to understand like uncovering the truth, uncovering, being able to get to the point of singularity with your soul is you have to be able to go with the flow. You know what I mean? You got to go with the flow. You know, and if life was a song, you can't just sing the chorus the whole song. Nobody want to hear that. You know, you need
Mhm,
lyrics in there. You need bars. You know.
mhm. I learned this in college where you have the ability to learn limitless things. There is no storage limit to what you could possibly learn, right? There is no such thing as I've learned the max.
Yeah.
When we talk
Yeah.
about expanding and progressing, I just am afraid of people that don't actively learn, that don't actively push themselves to have a framework, have a foundation, and expand on that foundation. Or what is your spiritual religious ethics? Like I'm a real proponent of that because I'm not going to live in a world where you tell me God is a frog, God is a fish, God is a planet, God is a star, God is a table, God is a carpenter, and we got all differings on God, but when we bear witness to a car, we all say that that's a car, and we don't have no variations on the theme. So,
Mm.
like, we have to live in a universe where we could not even as a collective, but as a whole entire planet, be able to bear witness God and understand God from a scientifical, physical, emotional, spiritual level, and then progress within the conversation to cement it and recreate it and show it and bear witness to it so we all can say, okay, this is what God is. This is what the truth is. But it comes with a certain level of education and learning. I know that. Like you cannot be lazy when it comes to your spiritual development. And I think that would play more into the discipline side of it. That if a bitch is scamming you for hundreds or thousands of dollars, she don't care whether or not you disciplined or not. Why would she care? Because she's getting that money in about you, and you know she's stunting on you on IG, showing you all the fancy things that she buying and the places that she going or he going, right? But at the same time, what did you learn from a person stunting on you?
That you just got scammed.
And you know,
That's what
and
you
like,
learn.
another thing about that too,
You've been scammed.
if you, because look, when you spiritually lazy, that's how you get scammed. Like when you spiritually lazy, that's when you get scammed. And when you actually spiritually disciplined, you're not gonna get scammed because you understanding and realizing what you can do for yourself. And if you do get a reading, you're gonna get guided to the right person. But 9 times 10, we be spiritually lazy. We be wanting people to do stuff for us. It's like fast food. We go to the restaurant expecting there's a great service, knowing that the food is trash. The people there don't want to be there. They hate the job, making your food even worse. You eat in fear. It's so many things that we expect out of it, but it's always going to be the grass is never green on the other side. So until we see that and realize you got to water it, that's when you're gonna walk on that ground.
Yeah, I think it's extremely easy for you to listen to somebody and just wait to hear the thing that you want to hear, right?
Ashe, brother. Brother.
Because once you get to that point, like, oh, I'm this. I don't need the rest of this, right? You cut the fucking stream off. You stop the fucking lecture. Like, you stop reading the book. You stop. Like, that's nothing good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very easy to do that. It's very difficult for you to fight with yourself and to win that battle with self and be like, nah, I need more. Nah, I need to go deeper. Nah, I need to have a holistic understanding of this thing because I'm only standing on one side of this thing. And yeah, there may not be nothing new up under the sun, but there's so much more behind that bitch and on the other side of it.
Yeah.
A perfect home life. But if they don't have a positive male connection, there's a negative attribute that attaches himself to a fatherless kid, and no one can explain it. It's like the little motherfucker just angry. So most little boys with their dad, with their loving mom, they seem angry. Or they got anger outbursts. They have anger management because they can't express, man, I want my daddy.
And they may not even say that, but that's what's the underlying.
The behavior, because you need, just like you need that white man's validation, you need your father's validation and affirmation just as bad as you need the white man's validation for your success.
And neither one of you got that.
Come on now. Man, I was smart in school. Man, I've always excelled in school. But because the culture don't clap for the smart kid, oh man, you think you smart. Oh man, you asking all the questions. So once you see that, oh man, you the teacher's pet. Oh man, you kiss. So you stop being smart in school. You start being the class clown.
Yeah, you want to be accepted. It's just like, you know, the saying crying for help or cry for help isn't explicitly like, help me, I don't have a male role model. No, it's, you know, acting out, is doing certain things that's basically speaking for your situation. You get what I'm trying to say? Because yeah, it's important. I mean, think of the principle of gender. You know, you was created by masculine and feminine, but how you just going to be raised by just feminine or just masculine? It just don't. It's not gonna work out.
Yeah, that's so.
I have to say, peer pressure is a motherfucker, right? Because the absence of a dominant male figure in the home, which basically means the absence of discipline and structure, means that you seek it within and from your environment. So
let's be clear. Let's be clear though. I'm gonna let you cook though.
Okay.
A man could be in the house and still not be dominant and be still ran amok.
Yeah, that go back to the first video from tonight's conversation, right? Participation trophies that have been given out, right? So like I think about the parent who just gives their kid a tablet just to get away from them, right? Or the parent who turns the TV on first thing in the morning so the kid could just focus on that TV so they could go and do whatever they want, right? So the initial aspect of a foundation is non-existent. So what happens when there's no foundation? What happens when there's no one to solidify the idea of right from wrong? What happens when there's no understanding of consequence, right? Now you think you can just go and get away with anything, right? I was a very angry little nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be the first to attest to everything that he just said. But at the same time, I also grew up with a lot of dudes who had a father in the house who was emotionally detached, right? Or a mother who was there, but she was only focused on paying the bills and getting whatever she could get from life because she felt like her life was over because she had kids, right? So it goes both ways. And just because both parents are there doesn't mean both parents are doing necessarily what they need to do for that particular child. And just all putting that all together, it's an understatement to say that discipline, structure, foundation, and respect is something that a child needs and a child has to have in order for them to grow. Like it's paramount. Like think about a kid that grows up not knowing what respect is about. He disrespects everybody, right? Think about the kid that doesn't have any idea of structure or organization or foundation, right? They just do everything and they all over the fucking place, right? So I think participation trophies don't count. Being present, just being present doesn't count. I think everybody has to be within that system, operating within that system, through that structure, through that foundation, through discipline, and then love and nurturing, right? Because anything that has too much of a thing is not necessarily good, right?
It took me 38 years to figure out I needed respect out of my relationship and not love.
And I remember being the nigga screaming for respect, and I didn't even respect myself. So it goes both ways, bro.
Respect is adherence and consideration to the discipline. You know, think about how you started out as a single cell organism and the nature of your being to become it you were created with respect to a certain script. You get what I mean? Like
certain laws.
You could have been a glob of just just something weird. You know what I mean? Like you are structured so intricately. You know what I mean? And imagine if yourself just is like, I'm gonna just do whatever. I'm gonna just multiply and be whatever. You would be, man. You would be a disfigured pseudomorph abomination. you get what I'm saying? And I'm just saying that to say you can use what's around you. You know what I mean? Everything has a certain divine code, and so do you. It's just the fact that we got these egos, and we don't even utilize our egos in the right way. We're not even disciplined enough with our egos and understand the role of the ego. And I would say the role of the ego is literally to just support the spirit. But when you are unaware of spirit, that's going to connect you to your soul, i.e., or you can say it's that spirit intuition. When you are ignorant of it, you're going to put your ego on a pedestal, and that's going to be your soul. You know what I mean? That's going to be your point of reference. It just come down to like knowing what's used for what, so that you can handle things in life accordingly. Because I remember one of y'all said like your ability to do what you want to do is your ability to ruin shit.
Mhm. Let's
That's
break
what it made me
down.
think of.
Let's look at what you said, the cellular, but then let's look at the planetary. Like we could predict the planetary movements for the next 20,000
Right.
years.
They adhere to the law.
They adhere to the law. So, in reference to understanding and overstanding, like I will reference astrology with how I move and understand the world, and people may understand it or not understand it or adhere to it, but then at the same time, they'll reference some chaos that they're going through, and it's like, okay, you bound to deal with disorder and chaos if you're not ordering your life. It's 7 major chakras, it's 7 major planets, and that is your alignment. And your lack of understanding is going to be difficult for you to live in the world based on prosperity in the planetary frequencies, because the planets are actually connected to you, because the planets shining down on the earth give it its sustenance. If the sun don't shine down on the earth ceases to exist. And it's all reference to a law, photosynthesis, energy leaving and energy dying, and then energy can't die. It's like it's so many universal laws, thermogenic, like all of these things happening at the same time, where you think that you're supposed to just do whatever your heart desire. That's coming from a feminine perspective and is lacking the masculine discipline, and you're going to fail, right? It's going to be fucked up, but everybody is failing. Everybody is in a situation where they hoping, wishing, and praying. People is trying to figure out should they vote for Biden or Trump, as if these are major critical decisions that you need to make in reference to what you need to do with your life and what you need to do with your energy. And it's so interesting to me how we can't bear witness to these things as a collective. We generally just keep this shit like mumbo jumbo and pseudo, and but then we're just free to do whatever we want, and it never gets you the results that you like. It never gets you the results.
Yeah, being ego led will have you susceptible to anything, like literally. When you do anything, you're susceptible to anything, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything good. That's for sure.
Following your ego is how you become a slave.
Yeah.
That's how you become a slave. Think of any time you've been subjected to something. I will, as an adult, it's usually because you think you know what I mean, and then you end up looking like a fool. Or more so pride, but that's a whole other thing.
You want to fuck with Fresh and Fit now?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I have more opportunities and more like options than the. But if you want to commit to me, you have to understand that I have the kind of the same opportunities. I'm not a regular female. So I have more opportunities and more like options than the regular female. So it's just like that's the risk. I
actually disagree with you. I think you have less options than a regular female, and I'll tell you why. Let me bring you into reality real quick. You actually have way less options than the average girl. I'll tell you why. You have what, $60,000 watch on your wrist, right? So you do understand that the man that qualifies for you, because you're successful, you're an entrepreneur, you make money. You understand the man that qualifies for you is like the top 1% only, right?
Yeah, but
but you do understand that since you can only go for the top 1% man, that top 1% man can go for like a regular ass girl.
With no AP.
So you actually have less options. You at this point can only date a top 1%
Well,
dude.
maybe I don't want a lot of options. Less is more.
You just said you have a bunch of options a second ago.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, maybe.
Where Dr. Seuss at, man? Speaking of these damn riddles.
Work right there.
Where Dr. Seuss at? Man.
Spiritual mumbo jumbo. She said, "Man, y'all want more options."
No, man, that's some crazy. We live in this world, bro. Like when I show this Twitter thing, like accountability is, yeah, I'm wrong. Let me correct this action. That's accountability. Lack of accountability is I want a bunch of options. Well, maybe I don't need a bunch of options. And that to me is just like, wow. But at the end of the day, when we talking about sex, it's a lot of options. But I don't think that because it's a lot of sexual options, I'm gonna just be like frank and clear. Because a woman have a lot of sexual options, she don't really prioritize treating a man right. So that'll mean that will equate to not having a lot of relationship options. Because if you told me I want to marry you and you say, well, I got a lot of different options, that don't make me want to marry you, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense because you're basically telling me that if I don't do or stay or be a particular type of way for you, that you just gonna move on. So then why are we even gonna kick the can down the road anyway? Like, why are we even doing this? If you're gonna tell me that you could get more or you could get better or you could get whatever it is that you want, then why would you choose me and then turn around and tell me that you can get whatever you want? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it don't really make a lot of sense to me. I can't. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around it, like the disassociation with like what men are really interested in.
Yeah, a lot of men, they have a hard time getting the woman that likes them because most of the time they don't ever realize that the woman likes them. Because they're chasing a woman that doesn't like them. They chase the woman that's not for them. You know, if people got the people that like them, most of the time they'll have a, like how many times have you heard that? Like when people got done with a relationship, unless they was really being accountable and mature, they was like, oh, it was a great experience. We realized we wasn't for each other, but we talked about this and that. We fought one good time before we ended all, and he's with his married family, and I got this right now. Like you don't really hear shit like that. So it's just like we have to really like think about the learning how a relationship is starting going, understanding that it's always not based off feelings. You can ask a girl, if you ask a girl like, hey, what do you see me as being a father for your child and all this stuff? And she goes, because, I love you and, you're a great guy. And it's like, okay, it's like, what aspects do you see? What do I bring? Like, it just helps you understand where she's at, and that's nothing wrong because it's helping you, let you know what you're dealing with. And most men don't want to accept what they're dealing with women. They're okay with the shit they're brought, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the shit you just be doing, and it's like, okay, so you just gonna keep dealing with that and be okay with it just because you want pussy. But hey.
Yeah, it's super weird, bro, because I think it makes so much sense now how a lot of dudes is happy with being the second guy, right? Because like if you see how she treats the first guy, right? Like what's gonna make you want to be the number one guy if you see how she treats the first guy? She gives you as the second guy. Like it's easy to just be the side nigga. Get the buns when you can get the buns, keep it pushing. Like honestly, like if she's gonna go and do that anyway, right? And you're never gonna be able to catch her doing it, right? Get what you can and keep it pushing. Like that's where we're at right now, and that's weird, nasty work.
Yeah, we in a tough position, and we in a tough phase of the world. But I think like it's been a lot of things for a long time. Like the internet is showing a world that I've already seen. Like growing up, it's been like this, kind of like a free for all in the Black community. You could just have a baby and then get assistance if your man don't take care of you and you don't have a healthy relationship. And so a lot of times it been a strategy, you know what I'm saying? To, you know, you think this girl like you, and really she just trying to get pregnant so she can get an apartment, but you none the wiser because you just, you know, trying to figure this thing out. So when we talk about marriage, the reality of marriage is that most women and men are already married because sex is marriage. And when we have the formal agreement and all of that, you just selling your soul to the state. Because if it don't work out, now y'all got to figure out a whole bunch of stuff and incorporate the state in your business. So with all this being said, like, if we had sexual education, we would be a lot further as a community. But in all of the things that we could talk about, we're never going to talk about sex in a real way. But everything that we experience at an emotional level, your successes, your fails at a real place, is going to come in the sexual areas, right? Because we don't have the knowledge and we don't have the actual engagement and healthy sexual energy between black men and women, we suffer as a race. And that's just generally what we go through at a mass level, because y'all didn't have an arranged marriage, and that's what you needed. Because love don't come from me having a lot of money and me impressing you. Love come from sticking with another person and figuring this person out through time. Like, love is a process, it's an evolution, that the ways that we figure we going to choose a wife or we going to choose a husband is not right and exact. We more than likely fail at that. How many was the first girlfriend you had the girl you with today? No, you failed. You didn't know what you was doing. Period.
Nope.
The first boyfriend you have, the husband you have today, no, you failed. You didn't know what you was doing. You wasn't even attempting to be successful in that endeavor. But yet and still we'll say, oh, after I got wounded, I'm ready for love now. You're not. But like, the subjective truth versus the objective truth is something that, like, as a people, we going to deal with, because it is a way to live and exist, but it don't have nothing to do with having casual sex and then double back and saying, I'm gonna find a husband. It will be much easier if you never partake in casual sex and conserve your energy, focus on what you need to focus on in life, and let sex be the last thing that's on your mind, regardless of your hormones, regardless of your urges, regardless of the peer pressure, regardless of how much your boyfriend is like, I really want to fuck, I really want to, everybody doing it in school. Regardless of that, you shouldn't have sex until you are in wedded bliss. Then it's so much easier. But think about how weird what I'm saying is. Like, how nobody is actually going to live in that type of reality. But at the same time, you could also imagine that if we were to live in a society where we value sexual energy, we had the conversations about sexual energy, we knew the truth about sexual energy wasn't a mystery, because sexual energy is directly going to connect you to Kundalini, to God. It's on the same train, the same spine. But when you are having heartbreak and deep emotional trauma, it's hard for you to actually deal with this sexual energy. So it's like, damn.
Yeah, because I think the misconception is that people equate good sex and good looks to love. And
like it's the epitome of
and none of that shit, none of that shit has anything to do with love. And like Hood just said, like, marriages used to be arranged by families, right? One family would pick another family that they wanted to combine with, and they'd marry their kids, right? But that was a sought out job that was done by the collective, by the community. And if this girl couldn't cook or clean or didn't know how to nurture and didn't know how to understand her emotions, she wasn't fit for marriage. And if this dude couldn't get up and go out and work and didn't have any type of potential, any type of motion with him, he wasn't good and set for marriage. So like, yeah, that does sound foreign to us because we come from the society or the time where it's get your feels off, see whatever thing rocks your loins and makes you feel good. And that thing is the thing that equates to love. And it's weird because once you detach yourself from that thing, you and that person probably can't even have a general conversation about anything, right? Everything is all emotional. It's emotional immaturity. It's shadow, right? Because you're doing shit in the dark that you won't bring to the light. And y'all don't even have any foundational communication. Like you just don't. So now when a problem arises, how are we going to fix this problem?
We're going to divorce. We're never going to talk again, and we're going to just act like we don't know each other. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to solve our problems. Then we're going to child support. Like that's what we're going to do. We don't know how to have healthy, happy relationships because somebody dropped the ball. Like, I don't know what happened at a large scale. It was almost like Will Smith came with the neuralizer and just hit a whole swath of black people to not pass down tradition.
Yeah. I mean, so often, the dudes out here, when they talk about wanting to be in a relationship, they talk about what they want physically, and then women talk about and then women talk about what kind of for lack of better words, emotional bullshit that they don't want to deal with, but not too often men talk about, they want someone that can support them emotionally and help them think through their problems, somebody that they can trust. I never heard nobody say, I want somebody I can trust. On both sides, like
somebody I can rely on.
Yes,
like women think the word submission is a curse word, and niggas think the word provision is a curse word, right? It's like, it's super crazy, but it's like, those things do go hand in hand, and those things are the things that are supposed to marry, right? So I'm supposed to marry your nurturing aspect of self with my respect, right? Those things are supposed to marry each other. And it's almost impossible to get to a level of respect if everything is based on what you can do for me and what you can't.
Right. And I think adults acting this way is an example of a lack of discipline from early on. You know what I mean? Because when you was a kid, you only look at, well, I like this about this person. You know what I mean? It could be some shit like he wear nice shoes, or I like how she looked when she wearing jeans. You know what I mean? And you never progress from that high school thinking, and now you in your mid-30s and you in the club. You know what I mean? On some T-Pain shit. And that was appropriate at a certain, well, it's up to you if you want to say it was appropriate, but I would say it's more appropriate for a 19-year-old, not a 35-year-old, but it's just people think once they get some information, they don't have to let it expand, let it grow, let it refine, let it become something that's, what's the word? Like a diamond, you know what I mean? Like when you first get information, it's lead, and then as you refine that information, it becomes a diamond,
Yeah, once you go from deciding that you want to be with somebody to having a kid, you ain't got no choice but to grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like once another life is created, like
For
it's
real.
no longer your choice, bro. Like
For real.
Like
I got a friend.
You don't get to hit the reset button and say do over. Like
yeah. No, I got a friend that's very successful, you know, like living in Lower East Side, New York. And, you know, he was, you know, having fun out there, whatever. I won't put all his business out there, but basically it was certain things business that he didn't handle. And I told him, like, you know, if you would have married so-and-so, because he was with her for a good amount of time, and you had a kid with her, you wouldn't even be dealing with these problems, because a lot of the problems he's dealing with is self-inflicted, you know. But I was just telling him, like, if you really had a responsibility, like you actually had a child, you wouldn't have, this shit wouldn't have happened to you. But I think that's another thing, like, people don't want to get old, you know what I mean? People want to stay a child. People, I don't know, maybe it's just how people view death, how people, you know, probably think, man, I'm gonna die at 80, that's fucked up, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. You only live once, and it's just, yeah, man, everybody suffered from it, you know, because nobody's really considering how their decisions affect other people with this kind of thing.
I think the stage is set for that cheating video you got, because that's a banger.
I would just say that it come down to like this. Like, you ever been to like your auntie house and you walk in, it's a TV, it's some pictures on the wall, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, some like knickknacks, paddywhacks, give a dog a bone. But it's never an extensive library where she's progressing in her information. Like, your uncle got the game on. He like, come here, watch the game with me, nephew. Right? He never like, I've been working on this theory, trying to figure out, you know, this groundbreaking research that I've been doing in my spare time.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that when you don't push the envelope as far as learning, you only regress in an emotional, mental space. So
damn.
I'm afraid of a person that don't read, right? I'm afraid of a person that don't want to learn and develop and grow and take notes and try to, you know, progress through the world around you, because it's a lot of things going on that people just expect you to know, right? You ever read a crypto article and they using the jargon and terminology? They not giving you definition.
15-letter words.
Yeah, words you ain't never heard before. The liquidation is an accumulation of a drop-off, so you better be prepared. We have 15% to a trade increase, and you like, it's about to split in half. And you like, wait a second, I don't know what's going on. Should you buy it or sell it? We're doing both. Like, wait,
buy the jump. What?
What? Buy the dip. What are we talking about? Like, it was a song back in the day, do the dip. Like, what is we like? But you gotta, but if you if you educated yourself on the jargon and the terminology and you listen to it, it make a lot of sense. But nobody is going to tell you, make sure you get studied up on this before you walk in this domain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's essential that you understand the jargon, get definitions and etymology, and expand your vocabulary, because as we stated earlier, you have an unlimited capacity to learn. You can learn 15 languages if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into the main topic. We're going to first start off with a Twitter post from Olayeme Olaren, and this really tickled me because I knew the whole situation, but it looks as though it's a man on this video that I'm about to play, but it's not a man, it's a woman. And this opened me up to a larger conversation, a larger dialogue, but mainly like internet banter. And it's really for women who listen to misandrist, women who hate men or men who hate men banter online that's going to associate everything wrong in the world with a man. And a lot of times, well, especially in this particular case, it's a whole woman that she's talking about. But the language is so rhetorical and so dangerous that I had to bring attention to it because it's just ironic. So she says, this man is seriously threatening to unalive this woman, verbally abusing her, and people are laughing and joking because the obviously abusive man we can see is telling us she cheated. This is a disgusting world we live in. So I want to talk about projection. A lot of times when people will comment and they'll say it's a messed up world or it's a fucked up world we living in. Actually, God created this world perfect. And when you say the world is fucked up, you really just talking about yourself. So be aware of when people drop that on you. So I'm going to do the video in question, and then I'm going to read some of these Twitter comments in where she's just refusing to take accountability for the fact that this is not a man. This is a woman.
The video not playing.
The video not playing, big bro.
Oh, y'all should let me know.
I thought
Dang. I'm gonna just play it from where it's at.
Emotion. No, these bitches need to keep their fucking pussy in their fucking pants. These bitches worse than these niggas.
Now, keep in mind, this is a woman talking. Like, keep that always in mind. Like,
these bitches be worse than these niggas. And then they try to tarnish your name and make it seem like it's you when it be them. It really be these hoes out here being slut ass bitches. You a slut.
It's a woman saying this now. Like,
you a dirty ass fucking slut ass bitch. I want to kill this girl, y'all. Y'all don't understand, bro. Like, I really want to kill this girl right now. Like, y'all think it's a fucking joke, bro. Like, niggas think it's a game. This girl played with me all in my face. Want to sit up there and keep holding shit against me from our past. Our past. I ain't did nothing to this girl. Been good to her. Been giving her everything in the world. Treating her like a fucking queen. This bitch don't deserve nothing.
And keep in mind, this young lady was actually pregnant at one point in time. And this got me into like a larger conversation. I Google who files for divorce more, because more than likely your girl's going to put you in the press like we should get married. But be careful though, because women in the United States typically file for divorce more often than men. According to a 2015 American Sociological Association study, women initiate nearly 70% of divorces. And among college-educated women, that number increases to 90%. So even though you don't even have the capacity to think about anything such as divorce, that might be the road to your marriage, even though you can't really fathom it right now. It's not being discussed. It's not on the presence of your mind. And it also got me to thinking that in the realm of like girl on girl relationships, it's a lot of domestic violence and even more divorce. So at a certain level, it has to be some accountability on the emotional and mental life of what's going on in this world. Like the issue of domestic violence among lesbians has become a serious social concern, but the topic is often been ignored, right? And then like it's so much of like a cognitive dissonance that when you see lesbian violence or domestic violence, you would say it's a guy doing it. That's how like that's my whole point with the whole shit. Cause like this whole thing that happened like yesterday, it was super viral yesterday. The attack was on men, and men didn't have nothing to do with this, like nothing, right? And it's like I see everyone getting sidetracked debating the gender identity of the abuser in the video, but for the record, it appears that they identify as a man and use he, him pronouns, like I said. And it's like, this is where we at now. This is exactly where we at. And we could span out into different areas where it's men and women's spaces in real life, and we can't talk about it. Like men in the WNBA, right? We can never say that. But at the same time, if a girl identify as a dude, then now she a dude now. And it's like, we just moving the goalposts all over the field. We're not playing football no more.
Literally.
All out rules. Like we don't have no rules, no structure. And it's like, bro, at some point, man, can we reel this shit in? But what was y'all thinking? Did y'all ever get a chance to see this weekend, or what was y'all thoughts on the video and the concept?
That's it. That's disorganized chaos. That's carnal love. That carnal love, that's that scary shit, bro. Like, first of all, you talking about two emotional beings. You're talking about two emotional beings who really don't have any control over their emotions. And quite frankly, why would they? You're talking about a woman who cheated on her partner on vacation. Like, bro, that's super nasty work, bro. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with that. I mean, like, this is one of those things where you be like, I don't condone somebody killing somebody, but if it happens, you be like, I understand why she would feel the need to go that route. But what I don't understand is how the naysayers looking at this from afar could automatically attribute this to a male. When we know, like, none of this domestic violence stuff really happens on that big of a level unless there is some encroachment, unless there is something the other person is doing in order for this stuff to happen. And sometimes there's not. But more
Let me interrupt you real quick. Mm-hmm. You come home, right? Your girl got butter baked biscuits, baked ziti with cheese. She got the game on, got a nice cold brew, got the towel ready for the bath, right? You take a bath, she rub you down, and then you just start arguing with her. She be like, I can't do nothing right. I'm just gonna leave. Like that's how it be seeming like the situations be for men. You come home to this perfect woman, and you just snap for no reason. Like she packing your lunch with all your faves in it. You look in there like, where's the Swiss? Throw the whole lunch box and just leave out the house. I'm gonna order takeout and just speed out the driveway. He's a narcissist monster. That's what I'll be imagining, bro. But go ahead. Like, what is the catalyst for the angry man? He just angry for no reason.
That's crazy.
I think it's just it's a certain stereotype. You know what I mean? And people get a dopamine release when they think they can identify something. You know, and this is my first time seeing the video. It's just, I don't even know what to say. It's just like, it is interesting though. When you think about terms, like I remember I first heard of the term misandry, which is basically the opposite of misogyny. And I think that women wouldn't deny it, but I think that they believe that they have a just reason for blaming men. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to deny it, you know, but they feel like, yeah, niggas ain't shit. You know what I mean? They say that so easily, so easily. You know what I mean? And I mean, sometimes they end up becoming a, what you say, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, with it, you know, and they only expect this kind of behavior at this point, you know, and then want to be sad when that's all they get. I think we gotta be better for ourselves, you know. I just think we gotta be better for ourselves, because at some point you wouldn't even be. But I mean, in this situation, they both sound like they was just messy.
Right.
You know, they was just both in a, I don't even know what to call it.
Right.
And it's in this particular case, this person got the short end of the stick and was just heated, you know.
Right.
But I think it's hilarious that they was calling this woman a man. You know? I think that's hilarious. You know, that shit is funny as hell, boy. You know, and then when they find out that it's a woman, they're like, no, it's still a man.
Still, she identified as a man, though. Like,
come on, man. Come on, man. Like,
confirmation bias is a motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, literally calling to dissonance, like, you being showed, but you just like, nah, I'ma still think this way. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Let me be perfectly clear. If you ever in your life get to a point where you're thinking of putting your hands on someone, leave. Please leave. Like, there is no coming back from that. Right? If you have a partner that can only feel if you are being aggressive and violent with them, and that's the only way they can feel like as if you love them, leave. Please. Because there is no coming back from that. There is no reconciliation on that. Like, being physical unnecessarily because your feelings got hurt is all the reason in the world to leave. Go and fix yourself and start all over, because this shit ain't it. Like, bro, this shit ain't it. That carnal love shit is not it. That shit is demonic. That shit is possessive, and that shit will take control of your whole fucking existence, bro. Like, that shit ain't it, bro.
Yeah. The thing is, people confuse relationship with fucking.
Facts.
You know, y'all just fucking. Why'd you trying to act like y'all in a relationship? And I think that's the problem when you're trying to make something be something that it isn't. Like, you're not doing no relationship stuff. All you're doing is fucking and trying to get money from each other when you need something, or, you know, a favor done here and there. That's a parasitic relationship, you know, where you got two parasites.
A convenient partner.
Yeah, and it's we gotta make the delineation between those two things of just fucking relationships, you know, because you could be you can have a just fucking mentality, but want to be in a relationship and you get frustrated why it ain't working out. You know what I mean? Or you could be, you know, vice versa. And yeah, man, people just gotta I don't know, man. Like
I came up with a theory. Like if you gonna have sexual relationships when you a young person, or you have sex with a young man, he's gonna do what a young man does. And it's going to more or less stain your outlook on men as a whole. And so when you get older and you deal with different men, that imprint of that younger man is just going to be just the normal variation for you. And so when that's just so normal for you, then it's really nothing that a man could do, because a young man is just going to be a young man. He's not going to be a protector. He's not going to be a provider. He don't want to be a protector. He don't want to be a provider. All he want to do is get in your guts. And even if he in a relationship, he going to play his video game. And when he done playing the video game, he going to be in your guts. Then he going to get back to the video game. When he done with the video game, he going to be in your guts. And either the cycle is going to play itself out, or it's just going to just be that thing where you're existing. He's in your guts. You're young. You're in love, but you're not doing anything to build the kingdom up. So generally, in normal life, you either waited or you dealt with a man that had something that was able to put some things in motion for you. If you program to deal with a guy that you like, the only thing you could expect out that man is a baby. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get a husband. You're not going to get a longtime partner. You only going to get a child, and he may or may not help with the child because he didn't want the child. He wanted to get in your guts. He got in your guts, and what comes out of being in your guts is a child. But if there's no sexual education and there's no kingdom building, there is no religion, because sex and religion are the same, right? But when you go to church, the pastor going to talk about everything besides sex. But without sex, none of us would be here. So what is the conversation pertaining to sex and living and existing with sex mastery? When people get into sexual encounters, they get real awkward and real weird. A whole side come out, you like, this nigga breathing all weird, making weird sounds, moving all weird. You're not even the same person no more. But imagine educating and develop that side. It becomes a master.
It made me think of that clip on Don't Be a Menace to South Central, drink your juice in the hood. The mail truck
with the hot sauce.
No. So I was talking about when Marlon was on that mail in the mail truck, and the girl just turned
turned into a monster.
Yeah, but the other one was Sean licking hot sauce off her toes, bro, on the kitchen floor.
Sex is awkward when you're not in your masculine energy and you're not with somebody who like respects you and respects what you got going on and actually has the capacity to bond with you, right? Women, like, the scary part to me is that she has no necessity or requirement or ability to bond because a relationship is fucking. But a relationship for real probably fucking don't have nothing to do with the relationship, especially if it's a soul-based relationship. Y'all got a lot of things to do. Y'all can change the world, Fucking is like something you do at the hotel room after you done ran up a stupid check. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and quite frankly, it's a lot of steps that y'all skipping if y'all already at fucking.
Facts.
Like I need to know what you like when the chips is down. Like I need to know what you like when you don't get your way. I need to know what it's like when you need to have some gumption. You need to have some motion. You need to get shit done. What do you do? Like I need to know what you like when your back is against the wall. Like all of these things are necessary. And if there is no formulation of any sort of shadow work, oh yeah, you look weird when you naked, nigga. Like you look weird when you having sex, right? it feels weird, bro. Now we got to turn the lights out. Like I don't even want to look at you when we doing this. What are we doing it for? It's weird.
Yeah, no, I think a good example of like real love is like when you having sex and you do something funny, y'all both just laugh to the point where like, hold on, we gotta chill for a second. That shit was funny as hell.
Let's relax. Let's absorb this.
Yeah,
I'll tell you another key too is like if a man is naked around you, he trusts you. If you never see that man naked, I don't care if you married to him and you got kids by him. If he ain't butt ass naked around you, I don't care what his body shape look like. Like he could have a nice physique, fucked up physique, but a man will cover himself up and shield himself from you energetically. You'll never see him butt ass naked. However, when you get a man that's in that mode with you, he feels safe and he feel like free. And men is like that. Like girls, they could be naked, just whatever. But a man, he real like he don't want to be judged for real. You like don't want a girl to see you on soft. For real, you don't want a girl to see you on soft. So you be like, but when you just walk around naked on soft, that's like a whole nother level of love. Like, bro, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
like you might not even know it within yourself. Like, damn, I love this girl. I'm gonna just walk around her on soft. Like
a nigga is real systematic and specific with his vulnerability. Like,
for sure.
Really systematic about that thing. Like if he get up in the morning and he just walk around in front of you butt ass naked, or if he only pull his pants down and get naked when the covers is up and the lights is out. Yeah, like,
imagine a nigga fucking you with the jeans down at the ankles.
Pull a little fly down.
Yo, that nigga love you for real.
He don't love you. He don't even like you. Put it that way. He don't like you. If he fucking zipper, he don't like you.
Relax, girl. Like, get you somebody that really care about you.
Right.
Like, he still got his Timbs on.
Oh man.
No, I gotta have a grip, babe. I gotta have a grip. It ain't even nothing like that. I'll be slipping on this floor. You supposed to take your shoes off at the door. He in your bedroom with the Timbs on.
Oh hell no!
It's crazy. Man, we done did 2 hours, fellas. Man, we feel like we really hit all of our targets today, man. Y'all got any like closing words, any closing thoughts? Chat, y'all got any comments, questions, and concerns before we get up out of here? Thanks y'all for who've been rocking with us this whole podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe. It's how we grow the channel, grow our platform. Even though we are the #1 spiritual podcast on the internet, we still need your support. The best way to support is to like the video if you haven't already. Share the video on your social medias because you're not going to get content like this nowhere. And make sure you dig yourself up. You made it through another day. All these haters, political climate, got migrants coming in here by the boatloads, and you made it through without going crazy. So, dig yourself up. Any closing thoughts, fellas? Questions, comments, or concerns?
Yeah, I would say focusing in on self before you start going out with others. If you're unsure about yourself, then being in union with someone else is really not the best recipe. And if you can't have honest conversations, you can't be vulnerable with your partner, and you can't accept what someone else has to say, even though you don't like what they're saying, then don't be with them. You need to work on yourself a little bit more, and that's okay. It's okay to have to work on yourself, but be honest with yourself about doing so. I want to give our shades to the ancestors, known and unknown, and thank you to the collective for this space and this time, and we love y'all.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, for y'all time, as well as you two brothers as well. Yeah, I agree with Serpent, spend time working on yourself. And if the situation is y'all just fucking be and be cool with that. You know what I mean? But if it's a real relationship, you gotta understand that the fucking part is not a priority. You know what I mean? That's already gonna come with it. You know what I mean? It ain't no need to jump to that. But just be truthful about your situations. You know what I mean? Don't be doing one thing and constantly trying to convince yourself that it's the other. Be honest with yourself. And yeah, man, make sure you meditate.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm gonna double down on what Jabri said, man, because meditation is the thing that we need to do in the spiritual community more than we do anything else. And you would not be scammed, you would not be struggling, you would not be in a bad situation. You would be raising Kundalini, activating your spiritual intelligence, but you're not going to be able to do none of this shit if you don't meditate. You don't need a reading. You don't need a Reiki healing. You don't need to give that lady $5,000 for her course. You don't need to do any of that. You need to meditate. You need to clear your mind. You need to connect with yourself. Make some music and listen to your music, even if it's ass. That's still meditation, right?
Yeah.
Go deep within yourself and challenge yourself to release these thoughts. In this day and time where there's so many things that's going to distract you, it's over 1 billion apps, over it's probably 1 trillion videos on YouTube by now. And fuck all of that shit. Clear your mind, empty your mind, go deep within yourself. It's going to be the hardest thing that you ever did in life. But when you go down those wormholes within yourself, when you start having communications with your soul, those are going to be experiences that you can't get nowhere else. And that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for this spiritual experience. So stop reading the menu, right? Reading the books, taking the courses, hitting you with the mumbo jumbo and the jargon, but you don't even get to eat the food, right? Because you're so busy with trying to get a job and trying to get a place and trying to do this and trying to do that. Let's have a real spiritual experience through meditation. And you have an opportunity after this video. You have an opportunity tomorrow. God will always give you the opportunity, as long as you're alive, to quiet your thoughts, go deep within yourself and meditate. And it's a struggle. It's hard. It sucks. It's not easy. Nobody gives a fuck about it. You might not give a fuck about it. You might deprioritize it. It's other shit to do. This is the summertime. It's a party tonight. You got to work. You got to make money. Still, meditate.
Yeah, and the key behind that is the progression through the cycles, because it's going to be a time where it's just like, man, I can't stop thinking about these things. That's literally what it's about, early on while you beginning your meditation, and then you'll get to a point where shit, you can meditate, in the middle of a meeting at work.
Yeah,
it's just I would say that. Just remember that it's always a progression.
For sure.
There is one question in the chat. Y'all want to answer that real quick?
normal for a guy to say you are married to who you have sex with? Nah, I would say no.
Normal.
Nah.
I don't think it's normal, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we live in a world where nobody is a virgin, and we kind of mutated and morphed into a different type of species that have to exist and live in a world where we have no real understanding of sex and marriage and relationships, and we have to cope with it nonetheless. But it's still not normal for a person to reflect on this reality, especially men. You know, I'm gonna be honest about men, especially young men, and hell, even older men. They're gonna do any and everything just to get them guts. So, you know, you got to make sure you got other things to bring to the table and to discuss and address, so you're not caught out there looking stupid.
Yeah, sex is marriage, but unless that person approaches it like that with you, then there is no context for a person to be saying that to you unless they're just trying to get something from you. And the whole reason why they're saying that to you is because they're trying to get them guts from you. So yeah, there's no necessity to that shit at all, really.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna handle some business, and thank y'all for tuning in. And stay tuned to the next show. We gonna see what's happening on these internet streets and report to y'all from the spiritual podcast on the internet. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you to Jabri, AD, Serpent for rocking with me on the evening. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.